All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. I move that we adopt the agenda as mailed.
Second.
Bellinger.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Eppenstall.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Any delegation? Any question on the treasurer report? Team?
I need a reminder. I'm trying to see what line item this is. So it's Midwest Coating, it's the roof repair hailstorm for the gym roof. So I know we have to pay it out, but then are we waiting?
Yeah, I'll get that information. I don't have that. So we processed that insurance, but I don't remember the details on that, but I'll get that to you. I made a note already, and I'll share that with you guys tomorrow, what that was, so.
Awesome, because I thought the deductible was like 25.
Yeah, that's what I remember in that, but I will get that information to you guys.
I have a couple questions. Bottle filling station, did we have to get one repaired or do we replace?
There was one in the fourth grade, I think, hall, that was, just the water fountain was leaking and falling apart, not leaking, but falling apart, so we need to replace that, so we decided to add the filling station on top of that as part of that, so. I know they were part of COVID prior to, but I can't remember the conversation Pam and I had. I'll have to recall that to see if that's something we could do, definitely.
We were adding one, that's why I figured it was probably a repair.
Yeah, so it was falling apart down there, and then Dan did all he could to, he's been trying to keep it together for a while, so we just got a new one.
A couple things that I've noticed over the last several months, and Tyler and I were talking about the other night. Notice there's some fair amounts of mileage reimbursements monthly. Gina Hastings does every month. What does that go to? What's it for?
She transports one of our students over to the Next Step program.
Okay,
They take him every day and bring him back.
So if they use their personal vehicle, we reimburse them for taking them
I
to,
see. We don't have a vehicle available for that?
we're pretty full up right now on that, but I think the situation is,
She is employed by the co-op, so that's how they do all districts. They turn in their mileage each month.
Okay, I'm just curious.
yeah.
So she goes from here to there and back every day, or,
Yeah,
cause like last month it was like, if you did the average mileage, it would have been like over 500 and some miles for what was turned in.
some days they go to different places for workshops and different things. You had Christmas 2 weeks in there. They didn't go to school, which would have been in the January billing, so less days that month, but. And she, yeah, I don't know where they go every day, so.
Another question I had, on Midwest Bus, it says repair brakes for $7,200. What was that about?
That was, just the brakes went out on 15, I think, or
Yeah,
15, so, and it's just costing us higher, I mean, more,
That is a very high dollar
Yeah.
job, I promise you.
yeah.
That's what I wondered. Was there anything else done to that or just?
that's the one they had for 2 months. I can't remember what else. Isn't that the one where the lights were going off out in front of the building and they
Yeah.
towed?
Yes. Yeah, so I can look into that more and get you that information, David.
Okay. Is that one of our general buses or is that a backup bus, 15?
That's been a route bus, I think, yeah, the route bus.
Okay. Is it coming up soon for a replacement or?
I don't know, I don't think it's next on the list, but, we have another one and we're looking at that as possibility for, we got word that the bus that you guys ordered last year will not be here maybe till mid-May. So I talked about that.
Gets there that soon.
What's that?
We may be lucky if it gets there that soon.
Yeah, that's what,
I know they've
supposedly,
been canceling chassis a lot.
yeah, oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So, but supposedly it's gonna be starting to be built, this month at some point, and we might get it mid-May.
I see.
So we have that one coming, so we put that one into route, and then take the older one out, and we'll keep it for right now, the one we take out, so.
Okay, and then one other question, if I can find it, Rydell All-American Sports, I noticed the 250975 on helmet recertification, is that in addition to all the helmets we bought last month then? Is this getting old helmets?
That's the just reconditioning of the helmets that we have currently. So they do that on a yearly basis, and it's part of a safety part of that. So it would not include, I don't know if the new helmets were included in that, to be honest with you.
They were separated out, do they certify the new helmets then too?
Well, we just got some that we ordered before the season. Those just showed up after.
Last month.
Yes. And then we had the reconditioning part of that too. So there should be two, is there two of those in there, or are they?
There's just one this month.
Because last month, the new helmets.
Okay,
Multiple on last month.
yeah, so they would not have been, the new helmets,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, so the new helmets would not have been a part of that reconditioning, but that was already, the coaches already sent that in to have that done.
I see.
So, and that's just a yearly thing they do with that.
Yeah, I can attest to that with youth football. Helmets and shoulder pads that I ordered in August arrived 2 weeks ago. So, and then I have to recertify my youth helmets every so many years.
Including the new ones or just the?
Just ones that are certain,
They come certified, don't they?
yeah, they come
Yeah.
certified and they're dated on the
Yeah.
inside.
Okay.
So if they're so old, I think high school's different than youth. High school, it's every other year maybe.
Maybe, or every third year, I don't remember.
So, but with the number of helmets that you have to have and the number of kids, it's a pretty decent cost.
Yeah,
Yeah, well.
And they'll clean them, they go through the whole testing process where they'll strip them down. If they're nicked or they need to be repainted, they recondition them, the helmet and the face mask and everything, so.
Okay, I just wondered, in the last 2 months, it amounted about $10,000 on helmets.
Yeah. yeah, those ones.
Helmets are not cheap,
Those helmets.
I know, and I'm sure they got more expensive.
Yeah, they have gone up quite a bit, and the newer ones were encumbered on last year's budget, so that's where they just were paid out once we
Paid
received
out
them,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, because didn't we have a double up of
Yeah,
something coming from
there was
last
some,
year?
yeah,
And then this
yeah,
year.
now that you say that, I remember that, yeah.
All right, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
I wrap my head around that,
Sure.
so. I did have a question, the last item, snow removal, do we generally hire that out? I thought we bought a tractor a year or so ago.
It's my understanding he has been helping out, and then Dan does the sidewalks, and then he does primarily the parking areas.
Okay,
So that's what I was understood, that's what has happened in the past.
all right, well, I was thinking last year, year before or something, we upgraded the tractor.
I don't remember
to
that.
Handle some of
I
that.
think it was
That might have been pre.
I was still on the board.
3 years.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
Well,
pre-
time flies.
I think we got the parking lots.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
Had to remove a lot of snow for a while, so.
yeah.
Oh, that's all the questions I had.
Two.
All right, the only question I had was on the roof, so any other questions? Got it, okay, so I move that we adopt the minutes of the board meeting on January 11th, 2022. Approve the treasurer's report of January 31st, 2022. Replenish the petty cash in elementary, $50.68, middle school, $38.60, high school, $117.02, and the payment of the bills to be allowed in the total amount of $277,870.87 for February 8th, 2023, and the January 23 payroll in the amount of $477,767.43.
Second.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Bellinger.
Aye.
Williams,
All right,
Parsons.
Aye.
All right.
All right, so we had our year 5 visit a couple weeks ago, part of the ending of this cycle and the accreditation. So I've asked Kylie she gave a nice presentation to the OVT team. You might saw that in the bills too. There was a gift card in there. And so we got gift cards for the OVT members, thanking them for their service to the district. And so this is what she gave to the team. And so I thought it'd be good for the board to be informed on that. One of the assurances we have to sign off on is that this has been shared with the board, and And then if you have questions or anything, we'll take those at the end. So I'll turn it over to Kylie.
All right, here is our 5-year OBT visit summary. This supposed to be a 5-year cycle. It has taken us 7 years to get here, thanks to the pause year and COVID and the way they began. So this is year 7 of our 5-year cycle. The first goal that our district chose was in relationships, in which USD 420 dedicates itself to a partnership with parents focused on the success of their students as individuals. We chose to measure that goal by using USD 420's effective rate being greater than our predicted effective range. At the start of the cycle in 2018, our effective rate was 33% and our range was 43 to 45%. And at the end of our cycle here, our effective rate was up to 55% and our range was 43 to 48%. I'm used to telling this to people who know what these things mean. You probably don't know what these things mean. Our effective rate compares our students that graduate with those that go on to be what they deem as successful in post-secondary. So we know that that's not a super effective measure, but it's the one they give us. So that's that. And then your effective range looks at what the state predicts your building will be based upon your risk factors. So socioeconomic status, all those sorts of things. So they get all that. The impact it's had here on our building, we have a K-12 IPS program focused on identifying student strengths and weaknesses, exposing students to careers and partnerships with vocational and college dual credit programs. And there's the lovely graph of all that if you'd like to see it. So there's where we started and
Pretty from here, I don't want to say.
That looks good.
all right, our second goal was in relevance, and it was USD 420 dedicates itself to an educational program that provides a well-rounded, rich, and engaging experience. We chose to measure this goal by showing growth in the amount of students academically prepared for post-secondary success on state assessments by scoring in levels 3 and 4 and on ACT composite score. Progress on that goal, we were able to maintain state assessment scores higher than the state average, and we brought our ACT composite above the state average, which the ACT composite during this cycle, we went from ACT really being only given to the kids who were going on to college to giving the ACT to every student in the building. So to be able to increase it and give it to more students who aren't necessarily, that's their main focus, is good. Our impact was a focus on state assessment preparation through new curricular purchases and professional development. And then here's the graphs they provide, which are kind of hard to read because the district's all at the top and the state's all at the bottom. So we're comparing these two for 2022. And then over there is our ACT. So this year it was 20.4 and the state average was 19.8.
And what are the different colors? It looks like level 1 through 4,
So,
is that what it says?
Yes, level 1 is orange and level 2 is yellow. Level 3 is green, level 4 is blue. 3 and 4s are where you want
Where you
your
wanna be.
students.
Oh, okay.
So you want this section to be bigger than the other section. All right, another focus of part of KISA was what they call the foundational structures. One of those is tiered frameworks of support, starting with reading in the elementary, and we grew our tiered systems of support to include math and the upper grades. And you can see that this is actually fairly new in our middle school and high school for tiered systems of support. It really came into play here at the end of our cycle. So we didn't have a lot of data on that, but it was already in place for reading in the elementary when we started, and we've grown it since then and have plans to grow it even more. And the state's focus on structured literacy and the dyslexia initiative is really, they're strong. That's where that tier frameworks of support comes in and where they provide us with that sort of support. Another framework is family, business, and community partnerships. We have lots of family partnerships with watchdogs, early childhood nights, open houses, performances, parent-teacher conferences, businesses and internships, volunteer hours, and performance opportunities, and the community with back snackers, community foundations, and all the service clubs. diversity, equity, and access. We really, during this cycle, increased our preschool access. We'll talk more about that. We reestablished the Parents as Teachers programs. We work with the Three Lakes Education Cooperative, and we have Crosswinds in our building to help with social emotional access. Communication and basic skills. Language arts, the ES has really worked on structured literacy professional development. In the middle school, we have ELA every day. And in the high school, there are various options for them to get those language arts credits with ELA, Allen County Dual Credit, Generalism, and AB Productions. And then in social emotional, we saw lots of new curriculums added in all the buildings and the addition of our counselor for this school year.
Okay, so under language arts for elementary school, can you tell me a little bit more, what does it mean, structured literacy?
Well, Kathy Reed can probably tell you more about that than I would, but I would probably say it's the way that we actually teach our kids how to read the text. Like the way I was taught to read, we memorized words. Run, Dick, run. Jane, run.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I learned how to read, but kids don't learn how to read like that anymore. So,
So with the
Kathy.
structured literacy, is teach them the phonetic rules, because there's 26 letters, but those create 44 sounds, and there's 100 and some odd, well, I'm just anyhow, there's many ways to make up those sounds. But, so then they experience to learn them, to teach them the syllable types and the reasons for them, so that there's a short vowel if there's a consonant after it. It's an open vowel, makes a long vowel sound. If you have the WR, the W is silent, all of those reasons. But it goes on for like, if you have an O that is followed, preceded by a W, it's going to make a different sound. For the, like, if you have the word word, the O makes the ER sound. Anyhow, so that the kids understand all of those rules.
Yeah, it
So
really
when
makes
they-
our kids
Yeah, so they
understand the
why.
rules of why we learn how to read the way we learn how to read.
Yeah.
And what we found out with structured literacy is that colleges they don't teach that.
Mhm.
They just basically have like an intro to reading class and that's it. So we are now really learning how each one of us have taught reading very differently. And now we're all trying to get very consistent with the way that we teach reading with our kids.
So many of us have learned from memorization. And so now we want them to understand the rules, so that way those basics are there for them.
Thank you.
Yeah, they understand the basics, they're able to spell better, their oral read fluency, of course, goes up. I mean, just all those things really affect how our kids read. So.
We're reading till about fifth grade, but we're.
I was gonna say, I need that.
Our next foundational structure was civic and social engagement. At all levels, K-12 students have activities or opportunities to engage in community projects. Kiwanis Club has Bugs, K-Kids, and Builders Clubs in our buildings. There's Community Service Day, voter registration. We work with 4-H and scouting, so all those ways. For physical and mental health, for physical health in the elementary school, there's PE 4 days a week, recess at least once a day, and then partnerships with Park and Rec to provide those kids with opportunities. In the middle school, they have a semester of PE, and there are many sports. At the high school, we have a variety of PE courses and school sports, and then we highlighted the addition of wrestling for this year in our cycle. We also have the district wellness committee and food service programs that all work together for physical health. For mental health, we did establish some new social emotional curriculums. We do have Crosswinds on site, which means some of our kids need additional services. They don't miss as much school because they don't have to leave school, drive to their appointment, drive back, come back to school. They can just leave their classroom, walk down the hall, receive their services, come back. And then, of course, our additional counselor. Arts and cultural appreciation, we have a pre-K through 12 art program. We have middle school and high school Spanish teacher. We have K-12 music that does programs, attends festivals, and has competitions. We have a theater program, and here we've added trips in band, science, and Spanish club. Post-secondary and career preparation, we've got partnerships with Flint Hills Tech, Washburn Tech, Allen Community College, and internships. In our IPS, we're working to be a model program and transitioning to Zello for next year to help shore that up. And our 5-year effective range went from 43% in 18 to 51% in 22. I feel like those numbers are different than the first one.
Improved.
The last thing that they look at in our KISA cycle is the state board outcomes. The first state board outcome is social emotional growth. And for this cycle, we chose to measure that by looking at some Kansas Community State Cares data. We looked at the question, I feel safe at school, and we got it back up to 90%. You can see that COVID really took, if you look at that top graph, we went down during those years of COVID and then brought it back up. So kids really, they went down a little bit about feeling safe at school in 2019 and 2020. And then it's back up there. And then the other one, the school lets my parents know when I have done something good, and that grew 11% from 40% in 2017 to 51% in 2021. So kids are recognizing that we are communicating all the good things they're doing to their parents as well as the bad. Kindergarten readiness is the next state board outcome. We measure that by looking at our ASQ and Ames Web data. So we increased the amount of students that were taking the ASQ from 49% in 2018 to 85% in 2022. It's not really somewhere you show growth, but you do want, because it's the first initial screener for school. So this is what we give parents who have incoming kindergartners so that we can know where the kids fall on and how they're doing. So, but we've been able to really increase our parent participation in that survey. And then we have our Ames Web data, and that's ASQ. This is the Ames Web data, the triangles. Tier 1, which is your highest tier, that's the right word I'm going to use, is the one you want to grow the most, we'll put it that way. And you can see that every year, fall to spring, our green one does grow the most and our others shrink, which is what you want to see. So, and we've got that both in early literacy and in early numeracy. And this is just kindergarten, from the first year to the last year, so.
And is that the 2021 data?
This down here, so this one is 2018 to 2019, fall, winter, spring. And then you have each of your years as you go down, and this is this year. So we haven't given it for spring this year, and that was when we were all home, so we did not give it in 2019 in the spring, because everybody was at home.
Okay, so the bottom line matches what Mrs. Paul sent or put together for.
Yes, this bottom one over here.
Where all the greens were growing.
What she gave you.
Was very fantastic.
That's what we like.
Yes.
All right, our next state board outcome is individual plans of study. And we measured that by looking at the number of students who received a passing grade in their high school seminar class, because was one of the main focuses of that seminar class was that kids would get involved with their individual plan of study, and they were graded on that involvement. And you can see every year, 98 to 99% of students did receive a passing grade on their involvement in their individual plan of study. High school graduation. We increased the district percentage from 80% in 2017 to 86.4% in 2021. And we decreased the gap between the district and the state. So the state did have a higher graduation rate than us, and we were able to decrease that from almost a 7% gap to a 1.5% gap from where we started to where we ended. We'll talk about this, it's mentioned later on, but in a small district, one student makes a big impact on your graduation percentage. And then post-secondary success, we already talked about it, that is their last state board outcome that they look at, and we were able to increase our effective average with our range staying about the same. Oh, I forgot definition of successful high school graduate, I thought we were about done. All right, definition of a successful high school graduate, they consider these 4 categories for a successful high school graduate. So in terms of academic and cognitive preparation, we had preschool expansion, we did summer programs, IPS, CTE pathways, seminar, state standards, and data for intervention. So those were all the ways that we addressed students' academic and cognitive preparation. In technical skills, we offer STEM classes. We have CTE pathways that we're working on expanding. and we have Flint Hills and Washburn Tech collaborations. For students' employability skills, we worked on social emotional skills with zones of regulation, second steps, Phase Touch, EverPi, assemblies, and this list could be even longer. There are many more smaller things that are done there. And then in career exploration, that's done throughout all buildings. You can see it starts with second grade's community unit, the elementary's cruising for a career, career fairs, career cruising programs, internships, mock interviews. And then in civic engagement, once again, we've got all our school organizations with BUGS, K-Kids, Builders Club, NHS, Stuco, US History, and then the drives that we support here in our building. And then outside, we partner with all of these other people to promote theirs: Lions Club, 4-H, Scouting, Harvesters, Osage Parks and Rec, Police and Fire Department, State Parks, voter registration, and the Conrad Carlson Foundation. All right, we did, outside visitation team did come. You'll hear the acronym OVT, that's what they're referred to as most often. Their visit was on January 23rd, and this is a highlight of their after visit summary. So they thought our areas of strength were our growth in pre-K, that the district worked to cover a need in this area. And we did increase our enrollment from 15 students at the start of this cycle to 72 students that we've now serviced this year. And has that number even gone up since we put that up here?
It will be going up because we'll be servicing more students as the months go on. So yeah, it will go up.
They highlighted our strong community relationships, that our ACT scores and our academic testing were strong, and our improved post-secondary success results. They highlighted areas for growth, implementation of the IPS, Individual Plan of Study, continued growth for the post-secondary effective rate, continued improvement of the graduation rate, improved chronic absenteeism, and improved SEL or social emotional learning programs and data tracking, especially at the secondary level. So those are where they saw areas that they thought we could grow or maybe focus on for our next cycle. They did note that we do have some possible limitations in this, in that ESSER monies are currently being used to pay for a couple of staff members, and so they could see that as impacting us in the next cycle as to whether we can continue that or not. And that they recognize, because they're all from small schools like us, that your graduation rate, despite all your best efforts, can really be affected by one or two kids who have maybe only attended your school and lived in your community for less than 6 months, and they enroll and then they leave and you're left with it. So that is the end.
That's fantastic.
Excellent, good work.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
so next steps, the OVT has submitted their, basically what Kylie just presented. We presented our information. It'll go to the ARC, the Accreditation Review Council. They'll review everything, the OVT's input, and then they will send that on to the State Board of Ed for a recommendation for accreditation of completing the KISA cycle. And so what I see that's been in place prior to me, things will look great. I see no issues with being fully accredited based on the work that's been done during the last cycle. So they very to be commended. Kylie, I appreciate your work on this, and admin team leading this, and you know, Mr. Hutton, Mr. Heward, what they did in those 5 years, that you can just see they consistently show progress, and I don't see any issues with accreditation. When I don't know when that's going to happen, but at the State Board Ed meeting, they will review that and approve it, and then we will get notification on that, and we'll celebrate that when that happens, because it deserves to be celebrated.
What's our plan moving forward now that we've?
So we'll talk about that in my report. Yeah, but thank you, yeah.
All right, the 23-24 calendar update.
Okay, so I don't have one to recommend tonight. Just, you know, it's been busy and things, but I've met with the PDC committee. I had 3 calendars to go over, a carbon copy of this year. Did some changes with the calendar B, and then calendar C was just some different options, really to think about and get a conversation going about how we could look at calendar differently if we wanted to, just with that opportunity to do that. So I appreciate the PDC committee taking this information to the staff and getting feedback. And then we met the other day during collaboration to get the feedback, and And there was, a lot of good information that was brought back to me that we can talk about as a board, and some of these will relate to the contract, so we'll talk about those in negotiations session tonight to kind of get some direction from you as a board. But really looking, one thing they talked about was moving the start back a week is something that was brought from the committee. It would have been August 8th they would report, and the students report on August 11th or something. They thought pretty early, and it seems pretty early too. And then enrollment's an issue on that as well. And so it was recommended to consider moving that back a week, and looking at the days, and we'll talk about that in negotiation to do that. But overwhelmingly, I'm in the calendar B, I removed the collaboration days just to look at maybe doing something different. It came back from the committee. They want to keep the collaboration days. They like where they're at, and for them to continue to be used that way. Another that was brought up was fall parent-teacher conferences. I brought up maybe moving them up earlier. The 11th week seems a little late for me after 9 weeks grades have come out. In districts in the past I've been in, we've done them as early as 6 weeks, like a progress report. And there was some concern about doing it that early because maybe the teachers don't know the kids that well enough to really have that conversation to do that. So, and so that was, where does that fall for the fall parent-teacher conferences and keeping them in the same format? So, and then they wanted to keep the full workday in January at the beginning of the semester too, and then kids report to have that opportunity to get ready. And then, if we wanted to add a professional development day there in January at the beginning of the semester, that would be up to admin to do that. And then it was brought up about spring parent-teacher conferences and could we do that different? What does that look like? Just have that conversation, and it was brought back from the committee to keep it the same in the format that we have it, for this year, which would be teachers report at 11:30 for collaboration time, and then parent-teacher conferences start 3:30? Yeah, 3:30 that day. So, but to keep those to do that. So there's some things we need to discuss as a board to get some direction before we move forward on this calendar. But I thought it was a good, productive conversation. The staff appreciated being heard as we go through this process. But we'll have some discussions about some specific things, specifically with the length of the school day and the length of the school year. So it's something we need to talk about too tonight. So, but I really do appreciate the PDC's committee to get some feedback and to do that. So, Amy, anything else on that? I think those are the highlights, weren't there?
Yeah, it was exactly all the highlights, everything that we had talked about.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a very good conversation.
It has been. So I know we want to get this going so we can let, planning, and I know they're ready to plan for next year already. So we're going to try to get this moving forward as quick as we can. So, but any questions about calendar or feedback? We'll talk more specifically tonight on some of that.
Is the PDC, is that made up of staff members throughout?
Yeah, that's a professional development committee, so there's at least two representatives from every building that are part of that, and they have to approve points for when you go to professional development and different things, so it goes through a process that it's not just, and so I just decided to reach out to that group to kind of be my feedback group, and they were great, and it was a representative of every building. I did survey the staff, and we'll talk about that in negotiations, just so about some of these things to get some feedback, and I'll share that information with you in an executive session tonight too.
All right, the Three Lakes preschool MOU that we talked about.
So we talked about this previously a couple months ago, I think, when the new director came in, Caroline, noticed that when you go above the 50% ratio of more general ed kids and special ed kids, then the interlocal was footing the bill basically for their salary, which that shouldn't be. We want to keep it below 50%. So all the co-op districts in the co-op have signed this MOU to say that if it goes above below. I'll read this. If the FTE of the ECSD staff is below 1.0 using the KSD Early Childhood Calculator, USD 420 agrees to pay the amount of the ECSD staff salaries that is not eligible for categorical reimbursement. So as part of that, if it gets above that threshold of 1.0 or above 50%, then that teacher is doing more because she's a co-op teacher and they pay her, and we should reimburse them for her services to more kids than what's typically in there. So we hope to alleviate some of this with our hire that we did last month with a fully certified teacher in that preschool position. And so we can balance that out. So I don't see it being an issue where it's gonna cost the district, very much, if any. It hasn't in the history. They've kept it about right where it has, maybe one kid over, I think, in one class. It's typically is what it's been in the past, so I have no concerns about this, but I understand the co-op's concern about that and taking on that. But we try to keep that from happening, but sometimes we just can't control it, so that's what that. I don't know, Todd, do you have anything to add?
You described it pretty well.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I just need to, do we take action on this?
Yes. Make a move.
I make a motion that we agree to the MOU, the Three Lakes Preschool MOU.
Second.
I couldn't find Mud in your Apple Music library.
They haven't heard of them all.
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Linton.
My serious says aye too.
Ted, do you have the form to sign?
If not, you have one right there.
Do not leave till you.
I will not leave. Do not, or I'll be visiting Patty tomorrow in the office. Okay,
I do have it, so, all right.
we can get it, all right, the Green Bush Virtual Academy.
So this is what we partner with Greenbush. They have in the past for virtual school that we have for a few kids to do that. So it's just, we utilize Greenbush to go through that. You can see from what I shared with you, the MOU, we do this for sixth grades 6 through 12, provide that virtual academy for them to have access to. You can see the historical data provided by Greenbush on that. They recommended 4 slots and a guarantee of 2. We felt like we need to keep it where we're at right now because we have a lot of kids really thinking they want to be virtual, especially at the high school. We're working through that. We don't think that's best for them. We think they're just trying to find a way out of the building and typically what happens is they go do it, they don't do anything, and they want to come back because it's hard and they want to come back in the building. So we need to have that opportunity for a few slots because there are some situations where the kids could be successful at that and keeping it. So I'm recommending to keep it as we've had it with 6 slots where we have to guarantee 4. If we don't get, we'll get 4 easily. But we had to pay for 4 for sure. But if we go above 6, it's an additional $350 per kid. But the way we've been handling that is in situations like that where kids think they need to be out of the building, we're saying if you want that to the parents, then you have to pay for that. And then they pay the district and then we take care of that. So the parent has some teeth in that for them to do. So we feel like that's the good number to go with and continue with on that. So it's a good program for us to have the option to do that.
And I will add too, there's been a couple instances with specific high school situations like teen pregnancy and things like that, where it's been helpful for them to go ahead and like kind of finish up early so they can be a mom or do what they need to do. So, I mean, that's just been my experience this one year.
Yes, got it. All right, I make a motion that we sign the Greenbush Virtual Academy MOU with the 6 slots with the guarantee of 4.
Second.
Bowen,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
All right, network wire closets.
Exciting stuff. So as part of E-rate, you've heard of E-rate before. It's part of a federal funding, I think, that help schools keep up with their technology within their buildings, and they provide some support in that. So based on Andy going through this, and he identified our wire closets need updated and get that done, as well as some of our Wi-Fi. So basically, there's 2 quotes on here that I provided for you. The first, the building wire closets quote of $106,577. 80% of that will be discounted through E-rate. So our total actually will be $21,300, and there's an extra 0 on there. Sorry. few numbers on
Usually
there.
the cents in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
point.
sorry, thank you, yeah. And so the actual total cost to the district would be $21,315.40 with the 80% discount of E-rate. So what that includes is replace current wire closets with modern equivalents that we have. Also replaces the Wi-Fi and the K3, putting them on the same platform. We use Ubiquiti, I learned this today. We have Aruba in the K3, but this will get everybody on the same platform, and it's been a quality, Ubiquiti's been quality to do that. Also replaces the high school master closet. In the auditorium, there's a closet. In the gyms and the cafeteria, so they'd be on the same platform as well in those closets. And then update the board office and the high school gym switches. So the reason the board office is a separate quote, because the board office is not attached to the building, so it does not qualify for E-rates.
Okay, okay, thank you.
So it does not qualify for E-rate, so it'll be that flat rate to update that wire closet because it's pretty old as well. So, with the 80% discount with E-rate, Andy's worked with this company before and this is the quotes they have for that, so. Andy will do the work and to replace those and do that this summer.
So this is the literal physical, this is just
Yeah.
the physical hardware
Right.
part.
And the 5350, that is for the board office?
That's for the board office upgrade as well, so everybody's on that. We had a situation where one of the what's that called?
Switches.
Switches, thank you. One of the switches went down, the phones went down, and it's, this will keep that from happening, because we have newer equipment, and he's gonna order an extra one. He included that in there, so if it does happen, we can switch out and not be down for so long when that does happen. So that's part of that too as well, so.
Would any of this qualify for ESSER three?
I don't know that. I don't think you can double up with E-rate and ESSER 3. I can look into that.
It'd be hard, I think it'd be hard to get IT equipment in ESSER.
Yeah,
Does it make you breathe better?
yeah,
Well, I might if it's working better.
yeah.
Just your heart rate. It's good for your.
As long as it's working, yeah.
We have a switch specifically dedicated to air handling.
I don't know that it will. I don't know what Andy's still working through that. I don't know if it will help with that or not. I don't know that answer, so I can find out though.
Any other questions on the wire closets?
And this isn't installed, this is Andy doing
Yeah, that's install's not included,
This is
so.
just the
this-
hardware.
all of this stuff.
The hardware, so
So do we know what the install's gonna,
it's really just him taking out that switch and then plugging it back in. It's really,
It's, so, yeah,
My
it's removing
understanding.
that and then putting
then-
these in, okay.
I don't think there's a lot of wires to run or update on that. It's more just that switch. It'll just be pulled out and then he has to make sure everything gets back in. So it'll take some time.
we're not gonna replace any of the cat wire or anything?
No, that's not part of that. So just the hardware of the closets and the upgrade to the Wi-Fi.
We went to IP phones too, I think, didn't we?
Yeah,
So they would be running off of those as well. So bigger phone and network.
Is that a summer project?
yeah, that's part of what he'll be doing this summer, along with, hopefully that the access control will be done and it might help with that as well. I'm in just
I imagine, yeah, the
the
network,
speed, yeah,
right.
and all that, the updated equipment, so.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we update the network wire closets in the amount of $26,665, which is the Board of Education and building switch, closets.
I'll second.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall.
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
All right, state basketball, which is next month.
Yep, so this is my understanding, it's happened in the past, I just took the wordage Mr. Hutton had and just switched the dates on it. This year, the girls will play on Wednesday and the boys will play on Thursdays for the quarterfinals. I like this format, I've talked to the admin team, they're good with it. But basically, so it starts with the girls' quarterfinal will be in Hutchinson on March 8th, and then the boys on the March 9th. Then the winners will play on Friday, and then championships on Saturday, with the game times listed. Game times will be 2, 4, and 6, and 8 PM, determined by seating. So, it's my understanding that, you know, that would fall on a board meeting night if the girls were to qualify, and they were to play. And, so you guys have done in the past, moved it up a day to
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, which would be March 7th in this case. But then it's my understanding that school was let out dismissed early depending on game time starts. So if our teams play at 2 o'clock, school will be dismissed at 11 o'clock that day. If they play at the 4 o'clock game, school will be dismissed at 12:30 on that day. So, but school will not be dismissed early if they play the late games at 6 or 8. And that's how it was written last year. So, I'm prepared to recommend, we can talk this through a little bit before, anything about moving the board meeting to March 7th. You know, is it contingent on us qualifying? If we don't, do we want to leave it on Wednesday? Because part of the issue of moving it to Tuesday is a choir concert that night. And then Monday is Three Lakes, they're having their meeting that night, I think.
I think we moved ours,
I thought you moved it.
but I think we moved it forward
Yeah,
to that Monday.
to that night. So, you know, we could have an early board meeting, it would, you know, maybe start at 5:30 and be done by kind of 7 when the choir starts. I don't know how I know that'd be tough, but we're just throwing out options to really think about that. So, but I know you moved it to Tuesday last year, but there is a choir.
There wasn't a choir concert, got it, okay.
So, but there is one.
Following Wednesday, look like?
That's
Spring break.
spring break.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm looking for ideas, or, you know, like Patty and I talked, do we just make it contingent on if the girls qualify? If they don't qualify, that we keep it on Wednesday night?
I'd prefer if we move it, then we know we
Just have it on the
know
calendar.
what we're.
That works for me too, yeah, it helps me to be prepared, you know.
Yeah.
Is 5:30 on that Tuesday an issue? I'm gonna assume for some of for you, Dave, if you could call
Make
in.
it work. I'm award. We might be on the phone or whatever.
Right, if,
Try to make it.
that would be my preference, is just have it on the calendar and have it at 5:30 on that Tuesday, it's okay with me.
That's great. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay,
That means we'll definitely be done at a certain time then. Make the choir.
Well, we don't have to.
I wasn't gonna lie, I was like, with an end time, I like it.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna, motion that due to, the timing of the state basketball tournament, any games played by our team at a 2 o'clock game, school will be dismissed at 11 AM. A 4 o'clock game, school will be dismissed at 12:30. And the school board meeting will move to Tuesday, March 7th at 5:30.
Tuesday is March 7th.
I think that all sounded correct.
Second.
Fine, JJ, fine.
Sorry.
She was just getting it out, she was like,
Just getting warmed up to it, good.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Williams, Bowen,
aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Billington.
Aye.
All right. Building reports. I really did, Mrs. Paul, I did like seeing all those graphs. And
I know it
and
was
the-
a lot, but I think sometimes it really helps understand where we're sitting at in our
Mhm.
academic work for math and reading.
But it, yeah, and all looked in a very good direction, so it's amazing the improvements
Yeah.
at semester, yeah, it's great. Any other questions or for the,
How's the Chief Spirit Week going?
It's been really fun, I think. I think the kids are really getting into it. Tomorrow's sock it to the Eagles. So we're supposed to wear crazy socks or chew socks. So I think everyone's had a pretty good time doing it. So it's always fun. And then it's followed by Kindness Week next week. So they should have 2 really fun weeks of school. So yeah.
I saw Jack Moolen is
Jack
going to
Moolen
state
won the-
spelling bee.
I was just gonna,
Spelling Bee
yeah,
today, so they'll be moving on to state on March 20.
it's been a while since we've had an Osage
We've
student,
had a lot of second places since
Uh-huh.
I've been here, but I don't think anyone who's won it, so March 25th, they'll go to Newman University in Wichita, have a chance to move on to the big show
So, congratulations. It was Jack, right?
Yep.
Jack Moulin, so congratulations to him.
You saw in Natasha's report about the schedule, looking at the schedule change, removing seminar to the end. They're still working through that, and depending on how that calendar lays out too. Tim, they've had these conversations. There's some teachers that'll need to be moved, so we'll be bringing that to you next month for approval on that, some of those classes, because there'll be newer classes. But they've done the work and worked together on that, so just several positives, in my opinion, of moving seminar to the end of the day, and you don't lose as much core instructional time, and when kids are gone for activities and things of that nature, you can do some incentive-based things. Our tech kids won't miss out on that seminar opportunity as well. There's some hiccups with all that, but
Yeah.
we're working through them, or they are working through them, so.
So
But
that's the big difference is that, because seminar is usually in the morning, and so now it's at the end, and then potentially third block would be like surrounding lunch.
It already is.
Split block.
Third block is already surrounding lunch. I like this new schedule because it also puts all of the students in high school on one lunch schedule. So right now, I
They have
have lunch
early
for
lunch.
like an hour. And that's fine, but I've got like 60 to 75 kids who will be in the lunchroom for first lunch, but then I'll have like, I don't know, 22 in there for second lunch. So in my opinion, I'm like, let's just combine it so that they're all on the same lunch. So either way, it doesn't matter. But what that is basically they'll either have a full third block of 90 minutes to where they'll start in third block, then they'll go to lunch, and then they'll go back to that same block. So say, for example, chemistry. But if they're on a split block, then they'll have like band every day. So say they go to third block A and they have band. I don't know, I'm just using this as a, and then so they'll go to band for, about 43 minutes or whatever you guys decide on the calendar. And then they'll go to lunch, and then they'll go to like their second block, and say, for example, their second block is Spanish, I don't know. So then they'll go to Spanish every day for 43 minutes. So our counselors, what we did is we put together 3 schedules, and then we surveyed our high school staff. And then, but 60% of the teachers were willing to teach a split block. Not every teacher is, but we had a good chunk who said, hey, I'd be willing to teach a split block if this is what's gonna be beneficial for the kids. I would like to use that advisory seminar time also to build in like a tiered support. Like as you guys could see, when we looked at that KISA data, basically, we don't really have any tiered support once they get to high school. We provide a lot of tiered support in the elementary, and then in high school, it's just like, here you go, you either do well or you don't. And so I feel like having some stipulations there where if a kid is really struggling, they're supposed to use that time efficiently, but I feel like sometimes they're not taking advantage of using that time. But if we say, hey, this week you're failing biology, so during the seminar advisory time, we're gonna use that as a tiered time, and you're going to go meet with Mrs. Dunbar and figure out what you need to get help in when it comes to in terms of biology. I'm hoping that kids are more willing to then get, so we can limit the amount of kids that are also on the ineligibility list.
And attendance in the morning, they just, seminar, I don't really need to get there.
Yes.
And so we think, keep it, they'll be captured, and having at the end of the day, they'll be, that tiered part could help with that as well, so.
But then also rewarding kids for having really good attendance. Attendance has been a struggle. I cannot say that enough. In high school, I've had to have really hard conversations with some parents. I've had some kids gone 40 days this year. I've had some kids gone 20 to 26 days this year. It is a challenge when it comes to high school.
Up to Kylie's presentation and any of the KISA cycle is start talking about, that transition into the next cycle. Do some long range planning. I know the board kind of charged me with that is coming in, and get this ball rolling now that we have this off our plates and we're ready to move into the next cycle and to do that. I know Mr. Hutton recommended, evaluating our vision statements, they're good, but they need to be updated, readdress, what does that feedback come from our staff, from our community, from the board as a whole, and to look at that. And one option I want to bring to you, just kind of get your guidance on, is KSB does this for districts where they come in and do some long-term planning, and looking at that, whether it's facilities, whether it's academically, whether it's, board focus, goals, things, it's all part of that process. And Britton Hart would be that person of contact to do that. you know, I go on back and forth, like, you know, is this my responsibility as the superintendent to do that? But KSB has all these resources and people to help, you know, really put this together, and having an outside voice come in might help. You know, Britton's from here, you know, that there's some connection there to do that. But you can see through what I shared through, that's just kind of a draft. I know we couldn't do the 22nd because that's parent-teacher conferences, but we could find a date. But basically, they'd send out a survey. We'd send out some invites, we'd send out some stakeholders, and they have some that we can manipulate to kind of go through based on what we have, based on our KISA, you know, that we print, you know, areas of focus that the OVT put out there, that we could do that. Then we'd have a community conversation, community night, and bring people in to get some feedback. That would be led by Britton and maybe one other person from KSB. And then they would take all that information and put that together as a follow-up, and then they would come in and meet with the board to really finalize that and maybe hit some goals that we do, talk about a long-term strategic plan, looking 5 years down the road, whether it's facilities, whether, you know, academically, all that poured into it. And then just that support that they would provide me in helping that, to put that together. So, but that's the next step, David, to your question earlier, is do that, you know, pretty quick and get on that. So as we move into next year, we have the goals set, we have the, you know, this direction from the board that we can help us guide in our next accreditation cycle, which is going to be very similar. I believe that, you know, we dictate our accreditation and tell our story through that. We do have to follow some things from the State Board of Ed, which I'm on board with their outcomes and things, but it's really about doing best for our district when it comes to accreditation. And through the board's guidance, that helps us in getting ready for the next cycle, and then the admin team doing their thing, working with the staff to really put together a good plan like you guys did the previous, you know, cycle.
So they just, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, good. No, yeah.
I was waiting, and sorry. Okay,
You're fine.
so my question, so this is much like when we hired the KSB
Right.
during the superintendent search. This is an additional service that they provide
Yes, yeah.
that helps,
Two district helps the
Districts,
superintendents, and
the
it's kind of,
district.
again, that
Okay,
outside ears coming in, and then they have those resources to put things together and make it real nice compared to probably my word, you know, skills that I.
No, I would just say I thought Britton did a fantastic job, especially on the, you know, surveying the community, having conversations. That was, I think, extremely helpful during our.
Do we know what kind of cost?
I don't know that. I just kind of want to see where that guidance was, and I'll get that for you. Yeah, no, there's a little bit of cost,
comes with
but
the fee.
it really was just, we met the other day and he just shared, like, cause I didn't know where you guys would be in bringing an outside person. Again, you know, Britton's from here, so that helps in my opinion. But I just.
For what he's done for us
Has been very.
Okay, yeah, so then if
I think we
everybody's.
should pursue
Okay.
to find out more. Maybe we're not USD 3022.
Yeah, we might wanna get the right.
On his draft.
Gotcha.
Tell him to get his act together. Yeah. So
He
we
might be
caught-
listening.
Yeah. We see that. Were you just making sure we were reading it? But no, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, so we'll get that
Excellent.
going. All right, so, and then I shared with you, Greenbush provides some demographic information for districts every year. So this is really just some general information. We're not gonna go into any details, but just for your information, there's some good information about, you know, graduation rates, about employment, about, you know, what degree levels, you know, percents there are within the county and within our area, within the school district, and just gives you kind of, as we move into this, you know, planning phase, we have some data to really go off of to help you understand on that side, the census part of that. And then, you know, some of the feedback that we get from the community. So really it's just for information for you to have as we move forward and looking at, you know, identifying some areas of focus for the goals in the future. So just wanted to share that with you. So for your information. So we talked about the gym earlier, and I'll get you that information about the insurance claim on that, but it is complete. They've done the warranty inspection on that, so we're good to go on that. It's done and completed, so, but I will get you the information on the insurance part of that. And lastly, all I have is emergency operations plan update. Met with Felix today and Under Sheriff Brenner. We're gonna, on our February 20th PD day, we're gonna spend some time with the Alice refresher and just kind of go through it. We have some new staff members that might not have been trained in it. Scott's gonna go through that, and Felix are gonna do that. And just talk about that and then take some time for questions from the staff to get some feedback as we get ready for that. Cause we're gonna plan an evacuation drill in the spring, working with the sheriff's department, the fire department, at our off-site location, just, in case we do ever have to evacuate, kids have an idea where that is. We're gonna do some planning and preparation, and through that we'll start our day off with that on the 20th. So, working on that, the sheriff's department's really helpful, also the local police department as well, and making them part of that process and just doing that, but always trying to keep an eye on that. But it's really about an opportunity to refresh, and then we're gonna probably, when we come back in August, we'll do some specific training, like by building is what we talked about, like go into classrooms and really talk about things and help the teachers and staff realize that, and then move throughout the district on that and take some time at the beginning of next year. But, we get feedback from our staff, they have questions, we need to provide them answers and hear them out and really follow up on some things. So we're updating our crisis kits that are in the classrooms, the buckets that we have. So working with the health department and doing that, Lisa and Lindsay are working on that as well. We have that, we have the emergency operations plan, but we don't want just sitting on the shelf. We're keep trying to revisit it and make sure we're as prepared as we can be. And so we're gonna take some time at our February 20th PD Day to address that and just have a refresher and then take some questions as we go forward. So just want to let you know about that, what's going on. That's all for me.
All right, thank you. So at this time, we're gonna go around if there's any comments from the board, to the community,
Or to me, or whatever.
or
Yeah.
staff, to everyone, to our superintendent. I had two things.
Go
I would
ahead.
like to, I have really appreciated the outside of athletics, just all around general, the social media commentary from the Osage City Schools on Facebook or wherever it comes across. It's just nice to see, more than just what you would typically see. And so that's been really nice to be known that. And I'd say secondly, I've wanted to say this for years publicly. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. Prepared a speech. No, I'm just kidding. I would just like to say to obviously I have children that have been in athletics in Osage City since they could walk. And I am never more proud than I am whenever we're playing anyone of our coaching staff and how respectful they are, no matter what game we're playing. You obviously in basketball see it the most because it's right in front of you. You can see how sometimes how other coaches are acting, and I just am very proud of how, I'm always proud that my child is playing for somebody that treats their athlete with respect. Doesn't mean they don't get yelled at, because they deserve that too, but that I just would like to have it be known if that came across eloquently enough. But I'm always very proud of Osage City and our coaches. Not that I witnessed it last night and that's what spurred it. A little bit of it, but it wasn't just last night. Anybody else have anything?
I want to give a shout out to Kylie and the admin for the whole KISA process. That is a huge undertaking. 5 years done, ready to move on to the next one, and thanks for all the hard work on that one, everyone.
So I'm gonna get the words wrong, so you'll have to help me out
Okay.
here, okay? So the February kind of monthly newsletter that goes out to parents, and I don't know if the rest of the Osage City citizens get to read it or not, but in your intro where it talked about the Kansas Board of Education, giving us props for how we're doing on state assessments, I think it's the 4th year in a row we got some award where we're above the state average for math, science, ELA, which is huge. So I just wanna make sure everyone knows that, like how well the staff is doing with our kids and how well the kids are doing. So I thought that was great to publicize that.
Yeah, you don't see a lot, being above the state average is my target, and this district has consistently been above the state. Not that the state assessments are end all be all, but it is what we are measured by, it's a requirement for it, but they're consistently above the state average, district wide, and that's something to be commended for the staff and the admin's leadership and in doing that, so I agree.
I kinda wanna echo both of your remarks. I was involved or more involved when the Keisha process started. And I guess, it seems like sometimes we circulate a lot of air and talk about it. You never know whether it does any improvement. And, up until COVID, I was involved in site council as well as going to that meeting every year and what have you. And I was impressed to see how our district grew so positively with that. And one of the reasons I was asking that question is I've actually been involved and watched the evolution of how it's improved and what the next step is.
Right.
That I just think our staff and Kylie and everybody has done an excellent job. And I'll admit I was skeptical in the beginning what all that meant, but I've really seen that positive effect, and it has cycled through the staff and it's cycled through our students, and I just really think that's been a very positive deal. And then it shows on your assessments that these things have all come together to really improve that, and I'm encouraged to see that cycle continue as we start the next wave of our accreditations.
Right.
Once we have achieved that accreditation.
Right.
So, everybody did a great job. I'm pretty proud of our district.
I don't have anything.
Anything else to add?
I'm gonna add another one if we're gonna.
Well, I mean, during, with like youth basketball, I'm here pretty much every Saturday with games and whatnot, and it's interesting because you see the new parents that haven't been in our school before, and I've gotten actually more comments positive comments. I'll preface by saying positive comments about our facilities in general. You know, how well kept everything is, how nice everything looks. I've even had some, grandparents of kids from Osage that I've kind of talked to in passing, and it extends to the football field and the track, and just in general, how appreciative they are of our facilities and how well they're kept up. So, I mean, that's been kind of nice to hear.
Awesome.
Okay, so the other one I thought of, it's School Counselor Recognition Week. And we have amazing school counselors. So we've got Mrs. Keith, Ms. Camarina, Mrs. Smith. I mean, I feel like just even from last year to where we are now, I've received a lot of positive feedback from parents on what their kids are getting from some of the new social emotional tools that are out there and what the school counselors are doing. So props to them.
Way to envelope that in School Counselor Week. Good job.
Tyler, do you have anything?
Just basically echo Corey, all the compliments, from the community about the facilities, about staff. Of course, we have hiccups and we all hear about it here and there, but majority, I hear a lot more positives and negatives and how well of a job you guys do. And so I think we just need to keep our foot on the gas pedal and keep going forward. So, but I think you guys do a great job.
Something that I would like to add as well. I haven't had an opportunity to do it, but because it dates back to football season, but I remember going to the game in Eureka. And when we first got there, the gates were open right there by our bleachers, so everybody just cruised right in and sat down. And then I think later in the game, I noticed that the pay desk happened to be by the gate that went into the concession stands. And so I went there and I said, hey, do I owe you something? Showed her my card, whatever. And she said, I just want to tell you, since you're a school board member, she said, Osage city people have been just excellent. She said, I know we filled the stands before they figured out the gate deal and we got them shut. And she said, I would say that most everybody that got that through there came and paid and made sure that they were taken care of. She said, we have never seen such an honest bunch of people in a community. She said, I want you to let people know that we greatly appreciate it. And I think it speaks a lot about our community, that the people involved in these activities are that way, how they support the kids. You know, our stands are always full of red, and sometimes even you look at across at the home team, they're a little sparse, but we need more places to sit. And the fact that everybody is so supportive of those activities and honest about that, I just think speaks a lot of our community
That is
as well, so. Never got a chance to tell that story.
That's nice, super.
Kelly, I'm gonna throw one thing in. I don't have kids in the buildings anymore, so I don't see it firsthand as much, but I watch how the elementary makes school exciting. I watch how the middle school works with the kids. I see the programs and the opportunities that we have available for our kids, and watch Facebook and see that we're sending kids to state forensics, and we're winning tournaments, and we're going to state debate, and we're going to state wrestling, and we're not just a sports school, we're an academic school. We've got great leadership that has taken us to a really good spot and will continue to move us forward, and it's just nice to be associated with that. Coming back to the table gives you a new energy because you have that here.
Yeah.
Excellent. That was awesome. Thank you. Very good. All right, I move we go into executive session to discuss supplemental positions, certified positions, administrative contract extension pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under coma, and the open meeting will resume in the board room at 8:25 with the superintendent present.
Williams,
Aye.
Bellinger.
Aye.
Parsons,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Hempenstall.
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye. I did shave off a minute We are going to go back into executive session. Same motion for an additional 10 minutes, resume at 8:35.
Second.
Hippenstall.
Aye.
Bellinger.
Aye.
Bowen.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Linton.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
What time did you
back in open session. I make a motion that we approve the resignation of Toby Creetaw as an evening custodian. Accept the recommendation of part-time driver to Selena Jones, the assistant high school baseball coach to Evan Faulkner. Extend the principal and superintendent contracts through 2025.
Second.
Who seconded that?
I did, Peterson.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Eppenstall.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion that we move the positions of the nurse's assistant, Lindsay Heppenstall, and teacher's aide, Ruth Pena, from ESER 2 into ESER 3 for the next school year.
Second.
Peterson,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Eppenstall.
Conflict.
Right, it happened to be the end, I
So
know.
that will be 6-0.
Yes, thank you. I move we go into executive session to discuss negotiation topics pursuant to the exception of employee-employee negotiations under coma, and the open meeting will resume in the boardroom at 8:58 with the superintendent present.
Second.
Eppenstall.
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Linton,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Bellinger,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
extend it?
No, but we're back live.
We're back live. We're going to extend under the same motion for 10 minutes. We're coming back into the boardroom in 10 minutes.
Second.
9:10.
Kelly and Corey and 9:10. All right, Peterson,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Peppenstall.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parsons.
Aye.
Bellinger.
Aye.
Clinton.
Aye.
We're back in open session. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
On that one.
I was on top of that one.
Bowen,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Heppenstall,
Aye.
Clinton,
Aye.
Bellinger, Parsons.
Good night and goodbye.
Turn that off.